Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for making the time to join us. That video you saw was really a team effort and a lot of hard work from our development team over the last 9 months to really launch and reinvent what Profit Peak is, and some of that team is here with us today on the engineering front. So I just wanted to acknowledge them before I kick off. I am obviously the co-founder and CEO of Profit Peak, and many of you are customers in the room or I've met you personally before, and I thank you for your time. What I'm going to take us through in a moment is exactly what we have learned from the data. So we're not actually looking at that sugar high that we all receive when we are instantly trading and see the great numbers. We're looking beyond the sugar high and seeing what actually took place both during Black Friday, Cyber Monday last year, but also what happened since then. So what did that actually mean for the brands? Now, we pulled this data together alongside Klaviyo. So it's both our customer data, Klaviyo's data, and with the help of Jay Turman when we did the Sugar High research paper together. And some of our findings were really interesting. I'm going to take you through them. The first finding was regarding brands that discounted the most grew the least. Now, this is something really interesting because as marketers, we actually assume the opposite. So what we learned is that the brands that had the lowest discounting intensity actually grew the most over a 12-month period. The brands with medium intensity grew 40%, and then the brands with the highest discount intensity grew only 6% over a 12-month period post Black Friday. That's quite a scary number when we all assume that these discounting periods actually drive incremental growth for our business. Let's look at why. Here's exactly what happens. We're going to look at 3 different scenarios, and yeah, this is actual data. Let's look at revenue uplift by discount depth. So we looked at all the discounting that happened during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and how much top-line revenue growth that drove for a brand. What we learned is you have a baseline, which is no discounting. So some brands didn't discount. The brands that went 20% off got a 200% revenue uplift. Now the scary one. The brands that went 50% off site-wide only saw, and I know oily sounds crazy, but only saw 100% uplift in revenue. So half that of those that discounted 20%. And there's a reason this commonly happens. And that's because if you think you went 20% off site-wide, you actually need to sell 25% more units to get revenue to break even. But if you went 15% off site-wide, you actually have to sell 100% more units just to break even. Now, if you're a brand in the room that only sells 1 product on average per basket, that means you are literally going backwards, not forwards, with your discounting narrative. And that's really important. So the second finding, 68% of customers who shopped using a discount code or discount-driven purchase during this period were actually returning customers. Now, most of us are marketers in the room, and that means if you are only going to start building your funnels in November, you're not getting incremental growth for your brand. You need to start building your funnels in August. Another tip that's not on the slide, we saw CPMs were the lowest during September last year. So September is the time to start building your funnels, acquiring new customers, because they will shop again during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. There we go. You didn't win the sale, you borrowed it, right? So what's actually the data shows us in our third finding is that post Black Friday, Cyber Monday, brands typically saw a 27% decline in revenue. So what that meant is brands were buying earlier, customers of your brands were buying earlier to capture the discount. So essentially you were giving margin away as you do pay interest on a loan. Very, very similar transaction. Now this happens to every brand, and the most important thing to think about is planning for that 2 to 4 week drop off in revenue. Putting that into your budgets and thinking about other strategies you can put in place to try and protect the business, because cash flow is really important post-peak trade, especially as you start buying new product in January, especially if you're a fashion brand ahead of warehouses closing for Chinese New Year. So Why does this keep happening? This keeps happening because discounting wins the instant argument. When you discount, you look at the dashboard and you say, revenues are great, conversion rates are amazing. But ultimately, what's hiding behind those numbers is what the CFO only sees 4 weeks later, and that is that the sale may not have made money for the business. And once that happens, we've all moved on and we're already thinking about the next campaign. So the answer is actually, how do we structure November's growth to be both profitable and exciting to win the customer over? So I have a framework, really important framework that is going to tell you how to actually drive growth and profitable growth over this period. I want to be really clear. I've had Jay Roy come after me before. I am not anti-discounting. I'm actually anti-guessing. I really don't think discounting should be a guess. It should be a calculated move for every single business. And when I say calculated, there's 4 things you need to look at. What can your brand afford from a perception of value perspective when discounting? How will that impact your brand, that level of discount? The second thing I would like you to really think about is, what are you doing to your acquisition cost when you discount? Is your acquisition cost going down because you've discounted and then you've balanced the equation? Or is it actually not moved and you're giving away too much? So what can you actually afford to do? The other big mistake we see is assuming all products in your assortment have the same level of profitability. And when we assume that, we sometimes sell some products at a profit and some products at a loss. But those products at a loss can outweigh the profitable ones. So it's really important to understand SKU level profitability. And the final one, what is your AOV and how many products are in the basket? If your sale is not enticing customers to buy more, you're giving away to go backwards. And no brand wants to go backwards when it's the Super Bowl moment. So, 4 moves to decide on your offer. Really clear, simple ways for you to do better this Black Friday, Cyber Monday. The first one is, make sure your discount does not add complexity to the checkout. The amount of times I see stacked discounts where I don't even know what I'm going to get till I get to checkout, so I abandon anyway and go shop somewhere else where it's clear what I'm going to get. So think about what the discount strategy does to conversion rate, because the goal is conversion. The second thing you really need to think about is protecting your heroes. If your best sellers are going to be discounted the deepest, what does that mean for trade post Black Friday, Cyber Monday, if your best-selling products have already been sold out? How are you going to continue to trade at the level you need to trade? So protect those best sellers in the sale. The third thing, sequence for the dip. We all know we're going to have that 2 to 4 week drop in revenue. We're going to sit on our Monday meeting and we're all going to look at each other and go, oh, we're not going to hit our numbers. Plan ahead so that oh moment doesn't come. Think about saying, hey, we know the dip is coming. This is what the dip was last year. And I really think Klaviyo is a great way to leverage your database to pull yourself out of the dip. And finally, measure your ads. Don't just measure top line revenue and conversion rate. Actually know while you're trading what is that level of contribution profit and what is happening to conversion rate, cart abandonment on your site. Because those 3 measures together actually determine whether it's a successful sale or an unsuccessful one. Went one too far. So my goal for you all is I hope you all get the same growth that you're targeting, but you actually give away less than you think you have to. So try to balance both growth and what you need for your customer for them to drive the intent that you need as a brand. Thank you so much.